Hi, I'm Michael Peters, CEO of Euronews and CEO of Africanews. So it comes from a diner that I had with one of the main, I think, African specialists in the world called Stephen Smith. And we met through a friend, and I mean, he explained me about Africa. I don't know anything about Africa. I didn't know anything about Africa 3 years ago. And after this diner, I really believed that there was something to do with someone like him, that he could help. And so the Africanews is really my baby. And Africanews is not only a news operation, it's really a strong belief in one strong cause about this Africa rising. And everything came from here. I would say there are two missions. The first one is to be the first organization to really propose a real Pan-African perspective about news in Africa and the rest of the world. So this is very important. I think that the main USP of Africanews is that contrary to all the others, you won't get a view coming from France, from America, from UK, from China. You will really get a perspective coming from Africans, made by Africans in Africa. And you will get even this perspective for the rest of the world. I mean, it will be an African perspective about news in Africa, but equally in the rest of the world. That's the first mission. The second one is really to help, to humbly help to participate to this rising African identity. And to show that this continent is not only about bad news, but equally a continent made of rising talents, and Africanews should be the place for these rising talents. I don't know if the people who are surprised about the fact that we are in Congo-Brazzaville are equally surprised about the fact that we are in Lyon, in Europe, you know, that Euronews is in Lyon. I mean, this is a kind of strong thing that we have. It's the fact to be in such a location. First of all, Congo-Brazzaville is extremely central, in geographically speaking, so this is important because we want to be everywhere in Africa. And the fact not to be based in one strong capital, like you said, like Kinshasa, like Johannesburg, like of course Abuja or any others, makes that we will be not as close as one capital, if you see what I mean. I mean, the idea is to be in the center of all these main hearts of the continents, but not to be within one, not to be too close to one. So this is the first thing, and this is exactly the idea that we have in Euronews, to be in Lyon. The second reason is much more, let's say, realistic. That so when we decided to launch Africanews, Stephen Smith, my advisor, came to see a lot of countries. He saw 12 countries all in all, and we established specifications. We wanted to have guarantees about editorial independence, guarantees about technical, the fiber, etc., and guarantees about the geographical hub, you know, to move everywhere in Africa if we need it. And I have to say today that the only country who answered favorably to these three criteria has been Congo-Brazzaville. So for the time being, Africanews will be launched in French and English, but as I said before, one line of activity is to try to find partnerships and to try to find partners to develop new languages. So we are working closely with some partners to launch in Portuguese because we think it's the third, let's say, missing languages. And we are equally thinking about the other African languages. So on that, we can say today that when Africanews will be launched, we will have between 1 and 2 times per day a news bulletin in Swahili, because we think that it's part of the, I mean, we think that it's a very important language in Africa. And we are discussing for the time being with other potential partners to launch in other African languages like Hausa or others. So multilingualism will be really at the core of Africanews strategy. independence, global, pan-continental, multilingual, and all of that's based on one belief, which is diversity of point of views. This is the main values of our organization. So these are the values of Euronews. It will be the values of Africanews. Africanews is composed by 40 different journalists coming from nearly 15 different nationalities from everywhere in Africa. They are both whether francophone or anglophone. They will promote this diversity of point of views that is really a reality in the continent, African continent, and all of that will be under the let's say like the holy saint of Euronews, which will be an independent point of view and a point of view coming from the continent. Africanews will be launched on the 4th of Jan of next year. So it will be a global launch, but the launch will be first on digital platforms, on the mobile platforms, web platforms, social medias, etc. And a few weeks later, then we will launch it on traditional television. So it's really, it will be really a media that will be spreaded over all the platforms, and at the core of it, digital is present. I just want to add that after digital and TV, Africanews will equally be present on radio, because there will be a 24/7 Africanews radio. It will be present on YouTube, on all social networks. We'll have channels everywhere on these digital platforms. So, I mean, it's really a kind of media hub that will be present everywhere.